What's up, everyone? Thralls of Metal back again. I am Shredlord.
Necrotic Nick.
And we are here to bring you yet another excellent album review. This time, we are reviewing the brand new album from, you guessed it, everyone's favorite edgy band, Sleep Token.
Even in Arcadia, no one can hear you scream. No, it's just even in Arcadia. Anyway, this also came out on the 9th of May on RCA Records. This band formed in 2016 in London, possibly assembled from old mushroom head masks and bathrobes and people with low standards in music. This is their fourth album overall. I actually went over their last one, Take Me Back to the Used Bin. Sorry, Eden. That was the name of it. And I was not a fan. Very famously not a fan, and I met a lot of lovely fans in the comments for that one. I wanted to come back and do another one just because I did not anticipate this getting any better, and it didn't. And describing this band, TikTok metal, alts metal, barely metal.
This isn't metal.
It's like R&B and like Slipknot cosplay.
I've never listened to much Sleep Token at all.
Good on you.
Yeah, definitely after this album. But this was my first kind of full-length album ever listening to anything besides a couple songs here and there. What I heard was okay. You know, I could definitely tell that they love trying to mash things together. They're a mashy band. But this album wasn't as mashy as I thought. This album was very whiny and poppy and
unbearably dull. Yeah, this band, I mean, all right, if you ask their fans, which I'm pretty sure we'll hear from them, this band is transcendental, because I heard that word used a lot to describe them, and also repeated in the comments, but I don't think many of their fans have ever used that word in a sentence other than to describe this band. This pretty much takes everything that they did on the last album and, well, kind of waters it down to its most basic poppy elements. Now, I know the band is supposed to be evocative, you know, the mystery, and like no one knows who they are. Everyone knows who they are. Actually, you can just look that up and find out who they are. And lo and behold, they were part of like metalcore bands and like djent bands. Big fucking surprise. But the whole like mythos and like, oh, the god Sleep spoke to the vessel, which is the front man, and blah, blah, blah. And oh, this is like, you know, our mission to create songs, and he gives me ideas. All of Sleep's ideas apparently are fucking like lovelorn songs and, you know, talking about like all my moody angstiness.
And foxtrotting fingers.
Yeah, that's a line in one of these songs, and I don't want the specific definition of it because it's already just cringe hearing those words combined. But the thing that drives me nuts, at least in terms of the fans and kind of like the whole mythos thing, is you're supposed to have this sort of like Tool-like reverence, because Tool fans are nuts. I like Tool. I'm not like one of the diehard fans of them. But at least with Tool, yes, they are pretentious as hell. But the fans can actually explain why they're pretentious. Like, oh yeah, they have like a lot of complex themes. Rhythmically, it's complex. This has that same level, but there's nothing like really deep about it. Like there's nothing like highly conceptual or anything like that. It is very surface level. So, you know, this is kind of like Diet Tool, except, you know, this was like written by legit tools.
For me, the one thing that grabs me right away is not being that familiar with Sleep Token and hearing that they put metal into their, you know, into their recipe, so to speak, for songwriting. The imagery does not match the music at all. When you look at them in the imagery, I'm expecting a much different vibe. And instead of getting this dark metal vibe, I'm getting a whole album that sounds like it was written by the ghostwriters of Nicki Minaj and Ed Sheeran. I wrote this about 7 times. This is not metal. This is a pop album. It is a pop album with short, quick changes for the TikTok generation that has about 20 seconds of attention span before they need something else.
Yeah, that is like very accurate, because, I mean, the songwriting style is still, you know, very much the same from the last one, except I feel like the pop elements are the things that got a little bit more of a boost. Everything on here, well, every song on here starts off with keys, and then their mush-mouth fucking vocalist, who I just can barely understand a word he says half the time.
He's singing with marbles in his mouth.
Dude sounds like he just did all his vocal takes after getting dental surgery.
And having a vocal lesson with Eddie Vedder.
Or legit mush-mouth from Fat Albert. I don't know, take your pick. But everything feels very pop-driven on this one. even more so. Like, yeah, there were metalcore breakdowns and djenty breakdowns, sparingly on the last one. Barely. There's barely any on here. In terms of like the flat out heavier moments, like you get a little bit towards the last track, Infinite Baths, which I hear pairs well with Infinite Toasters.
Dear God, please don't let that chord get out of the wall.
There's like a big syncopated, chuggy breakdown on there, and, it's got some heft to it, but for the most part, all the heavier sections on here, they're just kind of droned on open riffs, and a lot of the time, they're really not like as metallic. Like, to the band's credit, on the last one, there were some more metallic riffs. Here, they really don't feel like metallic riffs. They feel like rock riffs with just a big level of just overproduced distortion on them.
It sounds like someone just kept playing the guitar parts and hit a distortion pedal over top. It's not very much metal at all. And when it is metal, it's about as basic of a metal riff as you can get. And then it's only there for about 10 seconds before we have to go back hearing him cry, whine, or complain about being somebody's provider like he's a fucking AT&T rep trying to get your service for your cell phone.
I swear, like, every song on here is either him trying to get with a new chick or, being sad about the chick that just left him. The biggest difference on here in terms of, like, comparing it to the last album is it is definitely bigger. Like, everything on here is overproduced and sterile to the point where, like, there's barely a human element. Like, even the music that shows up behind all the keyboards, because a lot of this is keyboards and vocals, and then, like, electronic looped rhythms. And it's amazing how overproduced but empty it sounds. But even behind that, when you get to the heavier parts, the guitars and actual drums or drum machine, it sounds like a drum machine. It still feels just very bland and hellishly repetitive. My God, these lyrics drove me nuts, not only because I was reminded once again of how transcendental that this band is, but their themes are very surface level. Like, there's not a lot of, like, like really weird conceptual stuff that you would expect from a band with, like,
that worships deities and is into rune play and all this shit. No,
it's not there.
No, it's love letters from a teenage kid that read way too much Edgar Allan Poe. The track Dangerous. It's not dangerous at all. It's him basically trying to croon some woman to take off her panties, and then with about 30 seconds left, they're like, you know what? We've been kind of pussies most of the song. Let's throw in a heavy riff. It couldn't be any more not dangerous.
Yeah, there are frequently moments where, like, there are heavy sections that are just inserted because maybe they just didn't use them for a while. And there are, like, flat-out pop songs on here, like, no metal elements to really kind of put in there. I'm sure they would have tried, and it would have fit just as well as any of the other times they did it. But there are songs that are just purely driven by electronic drums and keyboards and the dude's vocals, which it sounds like, a deaf guy trying to cover Jodeci. But again, the main thing is this repetitious nature of it. The opening track, Look to Windward, is almost entirely just this repeated refrain, and I can't remember what it was, thankfully, because my brain kind of did that whole thing where, it blocks out trauma. Thank you, brain, for looking out for me. But it is mostly this dumb refrain, and then it's just inserted over, like, different beats. Like, you have a heavier section on there. You have, again, the soft electronic stuff. And this happens a lot on the album, where it is just based on this repeated refrain. Like, yeah, I get having a chorus hook, but if that's your entire song, that just shows a lack of creativity.
And something else that really bothered me on this album, and in my mind shows a lack of creativity, is the song structure itself, and how so many of these songs on this album are almost cut and paste. You insert some kind of a corny Fisher-Price sounding keyboard over top. He comes in going, over some crappy, half melodic part. Change it up. Now it's a hip hop beat. Now he's trying to, rap like he's Everlast or something. And it just seemed like you did the same thing so many times throughout these 10 songs that it just didn't feel like there was much put into the songwriting process. It almost felt like this was just a spoken word album almost, but he sings on it. Like, this whole album is just for him to whine and cry about whatever is, making him sad.
And him is, like, an important thing, because I feel like this is mostly Vessel, or whatever the fuck he goes by. a lot of this, it doesn't necessarily feel like it requires a full band, because even, again, the full band segments on here feel very artificial. Like, you know, a band that I actually like that I'll compare this band to, and I'm sorry if that band actually sees this, but Author and Punisher is a one-man, like, industrial electronic project, and he creates more sonic textures and dynamics in his songs than this band does with a full fucking band. Like, even the electronic sections on here, they feel very empty. Like, a lot of just, like, isolated Casio keyboard stuff, and then just, like, a very basic kind of breakbeat while dude fucking croons with a fucking Nerf ball in his mouth.
And there's plenty of people that have come before him that have done this type of thing. Hell, Trent Reznor programmed damn near everything on Nine Inch Nail albums, and they are phenomenal. So you can make those things work. This dude just did not.
Yeah, and you guys look like you should sound like Nine Inch Nails, at least somewhat, but that was not found here.
No, they're actually the guest spot on the next Sesame Street episode.
Yeah, or, you know, they'll be, like, touring in place of, like, Imagine Dragons, because, holy shit, this sounds like Imagine Dragons core.
And I've seen the ticket prices. If you pay $300 to see Sleep Token, you need a free mental health exam.
Yeah, your experience better be nothing less than transcendental. A lot of this piano-driven stuff, though, like, you know, you expect it to sound very soulful and, you know, full of heart, but I don't get that on here. Like Damocles. In this case, I'd be rooting for the sword of Damocles to drop on this band's head, but, you know, that wasn't in the song. Instead, what I got was Elton John for people that probably don't really know who he is. It's like an AM radio kind of gold. It's like Air Supply, but with like a little bit of a metalcore band playing in there just before they get, you know, pinned for allegations. All this stuff doesn't mesh up very well. There are points where I think some of the transitions are a little bit better, but again, like, you have this kind of collision course with other styles, and again, with like genre bending, it takes a lot of work. Like, again, I brought up like 12 Foot Ninja in the last one, Zeal and Ardor. These bands know how to blend stuff and kind of make it sound like homogenized and uniform. This just sounds like snippets of songs stitched together once again.
And that's not to say the whole thing was bad. I think I liked one thing. There was a nice saxophone solo on the song Emergence. So there's that. And yeah, there's that.
I will say that Gethsemane does have some better transitions. At least like some of the heavier sections felt like they were a little bit more thought out. There's more of a melody to the riff. Like, it's just not, again, heavy down picking on the E string, which is the bulk of the heavier stuff on here.
But once again, I hate to even say the word metal in this album, because out of this whole 60-minute, close to 60-minute album, there's maybe about 3 minutes of actual metal riffs on here. The rest is just kind of that drab, slow, sing-songy bullshit.
And every song here starts like the same way. That was like a big gripe on here. Even the last album, it kind of broke that up a little bit. It at least allowed this album to flow, well, like you weren't listening to like the same track on infinite repeat, because again, you have pianos and then the vocals, and then somewhere along the line, you might get a breakdown or an electronic beat, but they all start the same. They all have a similar vibe. There isn't like a song in here that stands out for like one particular reason, like, ooh, that's a big like mood shift or a tonal shift. It's all kind of the same tone. It's all kind of in the same gear. Like, I listen to fucking like Obituary and Slayer, and believe me, I know about bands that write samey stuff, but at least that's entertaining, and they kind of nail that same gear. Like, this just feels listless. Like, it just exists to sell. I don't even know. Do they have t-shirts? Maybe they have t-shirts. They probably sell their masks. I don't know. I don't like it at all. There's really nothing redeemable about this. And honestly, I probably had more favorable things to say about the first one, but this is legit worse. At least on the last album, there might have been a track I could have pulled on there. Like, you know what? This was okay. Like, the composition felt like it flowed a little bit better. These songs, like Caramel or Caramel, however the fuck you say it. It kind of depends on where you're from. That is the most sugar-coated bullshit pop song. I swear to God. Dude, you need a shot of insulin after listening to that.
He says, stick to me like caramel. What the fuck?
Yeah, instead of like good, he says gird. And I think on another one, instead of saying how, he says her. Dude, like, I don't get this band. And you know what? I don't feel as though like I'm completely aged out of this because a lot of this is still based on stuff that I listen to. Like there are points in here where you could kind of compare it to Linkin Park. The title track has kind of that vibe. It sounds like something that would pop up in a Michael Bay film. And there's stuff on here that definitely has echoes of Deftones. And I mean, Meshuggah, if they weren't trying, yeah, no, that's on here too. But it's just how it's composed and how it's brought together. And honestly, it might be the fans that also kind of exacerbate my dislike of this because I just don't get how they see this band as like the second coming of fucking Christ.
And to prove Necrotic's point, allow me to read to you quite the speech from a Sleep Token fan defending them on Facebook. To whom it may concern, and to all who wait, there is something sacred in waiting. In a world that offers everything instantly, we often forget the quiet discipline of patience, says the band that released 7 singles on one album. Anyway, the art of wanting, of longing without giving in to the impulse to have immediately. And so here we are, standing just days away from the release of a new Sleep Token album, not listening, not skipping ahead, not seeking leaks or spoilers, just waiting. This isn't about music. This is about reverence. What Vessel and the others create isn't background noise. It's ritual. It demands presence. It deserves to be met on its own terms, not ours. And in honoring the release date, we engage in a kind of modern devotion, not unlike the kind Sleep Token so often sing of. We allow the experience to unfold exactly as it was meant to, not early, not rushed, but in its appointed time. Patience, after all, is not passive. It's not weakness. It's a kind of strength. It's restraint in the face of desire. It's faith that what is coming will be worth the wait, that some things are best served slow, like pain, like healing, like art. So we wait. We wait because we care. We wait because we feel. We wait because we understand that when the moment arrives, when the first notes drop like rain in a silent cathedral, it will mean more, precisely because we choose to wait for it.
My God, that could not be more pretentious unless, like, Morrissey read that out loud in a fucking auditorium and took pauses every 15 minutes for everyone to have a moment of silence for his brilliance. That's how insane that is. But, like with anything on here, if you're a fan of it, listen to it.
More power to you.
Yeah, you don't have to take our word for it. We were just here to see if maybe we would eat our words. Maybe this was going to be brilliant. I don't know. That totally didn't fucking happen, though. This was dog shit. And I like this less than the last one, which I gave 1 star. And this one I have to think of a creative rating for because it is at the 0 mark. So I'm going to rate this free tickets to a Rob Schneider stand-up special. Yes, everyone's least favorite SNL cast member. You're stuck there for a solid hour listening to him bitch about being old. It's probably on the same level of suffering that this album was. Thankfully, it is about 10 minutes shorter than the last one, but yeah, everything that they did right on that last one, which was minimal, I didn't like it, they kind of removed it on this one, and this just became the same pandering song of platitudes and dumb lyrics and just like minimal effort songwriting, I think. Like, this really isn't as creative as I think it wants to come off as. The metal elements almost don't belong at points. Like, you know, there's really no need for screams. There were a couple of screams that showed up. You know, it's really not kind of geared towards that. I don't even know who this is geared to. This was just a fucking chore to get through. You know, every song on here, I felt like it was just on infinite repeat. And yeah, everything that I didn't like about this band felt exacerbated on here. Props to the production, though. They made this turd sound shiny and bright and, you know, completely unnatural. I don't know. I don't have anything else nice to say about this. If you like this band, cool. If not, and you want to listen to like some cool genre-bending bands, Faith No More, 12 Foot Ninja, Zealand Ardor, hell, fucking Fishbone. Throw them in there too. All those bands better than this one.
Yeah, my first full experience with Sleep Token was definitely a letdown, but I can't even really call it a letdown because I kind of knew what to expect, but once again, I was hoping for maybe something different. But yeah, overall, this album just felt like it was very pretentious, and it was just made for the vocalist to kind of show off his whininess, and every song being the exact same template for the most part just really was boring. Having to stop halfway through this album to just not hear it anymore and put on like Slayer just to cleanse my ears, that's absolutely what I did. There's not a lot of redeeming qualities about this. The metal, when it's there, it's very bland and generic. Most of this album is very hip-hop and rap and pop-oriented and sounds like, you know, Drake's gonna make a guest appearance any second now. And
Allegations!
yeah, and that's just not for me, man. So overall, I also can't give this a ranking, but I can give this a recommendation. And my recommendation is for Vessel to sit down in front of his television and watch the man Sam Dunn from Banger TV, great guy, watch Metal Evolution. If you want to know what metal is and you want to incorporate some real metal into your music, go study it, because this is not metal. This is the kid that learned one Metallica riff at his guitar lesson and then decided he was going to pick up an acoustic guitar and try to be the next Jack Johnson or some shit. Not for me. If you like it, great. If I offended you, tough shit. It's just my opinion, but not for me. No thank you.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They are only 99 cents, and our Lone Perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we will be doing one sometime after we get back from MDF, where we will probably be still in pain and probably without money. But memberships are the main way to support the channel. We also still have our store, thrallsmetal.com, with our t-shirts and hats that is linked down below. And there's also a join button down there, too. And if you hit it, maybe the metal gods might reward us with, you know, sleep token canceling dates or something like that. Man, that would be terrible. Ugh, all broken up about it.
And humor aside, the most important thing is to thank you guys. Thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to watch our reviews, to watch our content, to comment on our videos, to give us ideas for more videos. This community that we've been able to build and the people who are still coming in, it's been a blast. And we have so much fun doing this, and we couldn't do this without you. So thank you so very much once again for taking the time to spend with us. And from the bottom of our cold and blackened hearts, we love you all.
Yeah, you guys absolutely rule. Tons of content coming in the future. So one more big thank you, because you guys are awesome, and we will catch you later.